Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Cinema Showdown Sunday, and for today we will be covering the two latest installments in the Conjuring universe, and that is 2019's The Curse of La Llorona versus 2018's The Nun. Round 1 is going to be the cast. For The Curse of La Llorona, you have Linda Cardellini, Raymond Cruz, and the two kids who are the primary driving forces of the movie. Each and every one of them actually gives solid performances. Linda Cardellini, I expected it from her. I was excited to see Raymond Cruz as I love him from Breaking Bad, but I did not know how he was going to do in a big screen film. Sadly, he does not get a ton of screen time, but luckily when he is on screen, he does impress, and I really hope to see him in more. Kids in horror movies, actually kids in any movie, can really make or break the movie. If the kids are on bad and they are just being kids and they're completely cringeworthy, it will suck you out of the moment. Luckily, the kids in this movie crush it. For The Nun, you have Tessa Farmiga, Damien Bichir, and Jonas Bloquet. Now, I actually really like Tessa Farmiga. I know her primarily from American Horror Story. I love her in that. She is also the sister of Vera Farmiga, and she is by far the best part of her movie. Damien Bichir gives a solid enough performance when he is actually there, and Jonas Bloquet, who played Frenchie. I absolutely hated the character of Frenchie in The Nun. That was one of my biggest negatives. I did not want him to be in it. I did not want him on screen. I did not want to hear his voice. I wanted him to be gone. Now, although Tessa Farmiga does a great job, she really can't hold back the power of Linda Cardellini, Raymond Cruz, and the two kids, so round 1 is going to go to The Curse of La Llorona. Round 2 is going to be the scares. So, these are both horror movies. Now, which one actually managed to scare audiences? Well, the long and short of it is neither really was actually that scary at all, but hey, we gotta have a winner. For The Curse of La Llorona, it is pretty much a full-on jump scare fest with literally nothing else scary at all. I mean, there are a few moments that get a little bit intense. Other than that, every scene just built towards a jump scare, and that was pretty much it. When it comes to The Nun, it's practically a jump scare fest too, and every scene feels like it's leading up to a jump scare. But the difference here, there is a major difference, and that is that the atmosphere is actually pretty solid in this movie, and that is because of its setting. And this atmosphere is built off of the isolation that you feel for these characters. They're in this giant abbey, which is basically this big-ass castle. They're all by themselves being tracked down by spirits. It's like this old Victorian castle. Even though all the scares were jump scares and there was no real genuine scares, at least the setting and the atmosphere were pretty well done, so round 2 is going to go to The Nun. Round 3 is going to be the aesthetic. For The Curse of La Llorona, it is set in 1970s Los Angeles. Even with that setting, you really don't see a whole lot that actually makes it feel 1970s-ish. And the only times I really ever notice is with like particular cars. Sometimes, you know, they have the old fat back TVs. Other than that, they really don't do a whole lot to make it feel like it's in the 70s. And for The Nun, it is set in 1950s Romania, primarily in this giant abbey castle thing. And the setting is one of the only things that actually saves The Nun from being completely abysmal. Being inside the abbey, whether you're in the rooms, the hallways, the dark and dingy basement, it gives this atmosphere of complete isolation. It looks super cool. The costume design for the nuns is great. They really do show that, hey, this is in the 1950s. Hey, it's in Romania. If it wasn't obvious already for aesthetic, round 3 is going to go to The Nun. Round 4 is going to be the villain, or the demon, or the ghosty, or whatever you want to call it. For me, guys, honestly, I never really found the nun herself to be that scary. Like, don't get me wrong, she is creepy and freaky at times. It's a nun, and then it's just a white face, and then like black eyeshadow and yellowish eyes and sometimes some teethy things, but I never really found the nun to be that scary, especially in The Conjuring 2. I found her to be almost too whimsical for a Conjuring movie, and then in her own movie, she seemed plain to me. Switch over to The Curse of La Llorona and you have, well, La Llorona, or also known as the Weeping Woman, and I actually found her to be super creepy, even though a lot of her moments are just CGI blood running out of her eyes or a CGI big open gaping mouth. I actually found the character to be pretty creepy. She was one of my only 2 positives for that movie. I actually found her to be pretty unsettling. Therefore, I'm going to have to give round 4 to The Curse of La Llorona. Now on to the 5th and final round, folks, and that is going to be the connection to the universe. This universe gets bigger and bigger every year, and as we know, Annabelle 3 is coming out later this year as well, so I find it's important to actually have that connection. For The Curse of La Llorona, from the beginning of the trailers, it felt very Conjuring-ish, and sadly I was let down by the fact that the only real connection this movie has to the universe is through the actor Tony Amendola, because he also plays the same character in the first Annabelle film, and the only real connection we have aside from him is just a flashback to the Annabelle doll and him with the Annabelle doll. So really, there wasn't a huge connection, and I don't even know if we'll see La Llorona come back. Probably gonna have a sequel to it, and maybe she'll even appear in The Conjuring 3 or something along those lines. But for the first movie, the one we're discussing right now, not a whole lot of connections, and I was pretty disappointed by that. Switch over to The Nun, and you have the obvious connection to The Conjuring 2 because that is where the character originated, but you also had a connection to Annabelle Creation, in which Sister Charlotte has the photo. And when you're looking at the photo of nuns in Romania, you see in the background a face, and Sister Charlotte goes,
"I don't know, I don't think I even met her."
But of course, we the audience know that's Valak, aka the Nun. And the Nun does sort of address these in its own ways. I understood what they were going for. I know that there's connections there, so those two movies are connected to it. It is connected to those two movies. Therefore, I'm going to have to give the fifth and final round and the crown to the Nun. So if you liked this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know who would you have picked to win the Cinema Showdown Sunday, and be sure to suggest what you would like to see for the next one. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap.